Recently I've been milling a lot of my own logs into these slabs, and I'll show you how I've been doing that. I've been doing all my milling with this small Home-Lite chainsaw. I'm not even sure what size motor it is, but this is like one of the cheapest, smallest you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot, so it's not anything expensive. I did buy a bigger 16-inch bar for it just so I could mill bigger logs. And then for the mill, I'm using this, I don't know if you can see it, the beam machine. I got this off of Amazon about a year and a half ago. I paid $40 for it. I think it's up to around $50. But all it does is it clamps onto your bar and then rides on a 2x4. Okay, this is how I have the mill set up. I have a 2x4 that is level both ways, perfectly square, and then I have a platform for the log to sit on, and that's basically all you need. Now what this is a piece of 1/2-inch plywood that I've got screwed to the 2x4 at a 90-degree angle, and this gives me something to screw the log onto so that it stays secure and doesn't wobble, and that way I get the best clean cut. Now it's really important that this is 90 degrees to the 2x4, otherwise when you make your cut you could get a wedge shaped piece of wood, since it could be leaning in or out. So make sure that you have that 90 degrees. But that's all it is. I have all these things concreted into the ground just to make them as sturdy as possible, and so I'll put a log up here. I've milled all my big logs, so the only thing I got is about a 3-foot section of cherry, but I'll come over here and grab it and show you how it works. Alright, so now we're ready to make our first cut. The only thing I've done is I did put a few screws in from the back side of the plywood to hold the log while we're cutting it, and I made sure to use really short screws that barely go into the wood so that it doesn't hit my chain while we're cutting. And also, I forgot to mention earlier that this chain is a regular chain that came with the bar, so it's not a ripping chain. It's straight from Lowe's, so you'll see how well that it cuts this piece of cherry. So this first pass we're going to make is going to give us a nice straight side for the next cut. So this first one will be firewood. So there you can see we got a nice flat surface for our next cut that'll go up against the plywood. This piece will be, it'll either be firewood or I can use it to make a few shallow bulb lengths. But so now let's unscrew this piece and screw this one on, and we'll get our first real slab out of it. Now we'll scoop this piece up. It's nice and flat. And now let's screw it back in. Alright. So now we can go ahead and make our second cut. And as you can see, this doesn't require much effort at all. Gravity pretty much does everything for you. The only thing you got to make sure of is it does cut better with the saw tilted instead of cutting straight in grain. So what I found to be the best is to cut at an angle, and then once you've gotten through a little bit, tilt it back up to make the rest of that cut through, and that tends to work best. So let's go ahead and make another cut. Alright, now let me unscrew it from the plywood. So, there you can see a nice, well, it's got a little bit of rot in it, but nice piece of cherry, about, I'd say 2.5 inches thick, maybe 3. And it was pretty easy. Now the beam machine, it does best just to let gravity do the work. I don't put much pressure at all, if any, while I'm making the cut. I just let gravity do the work, so it's not tiring or anything, and it works well. The only thing that limits you is how long your bar is. That'll limit how far across you can cut. So I do have another older saw that I'm working to get running that'll give me a 20-inch bar, but this one's got a 16, and I can reach pretty much anything like this, about a 10-inch thick or 12-inch thick piece of wood. And the only other limiting factor is how tall your 2x4 is. The shorter it is, the shorter piece of wood that you can screw to it. And that's about it. It's very simple. It works really good. I've tried some other methods of mounting the beam machine, and they worked okay, but they were a little bit of a hassle. And this is easy. You just put your log up on it, screw it to it, and just start cutting. And I also wanted to note, this beam machine does have a you can change the width of the slabs you make by taking this off your bar. I don't know if you can see it, but it screws in to this piece right here. So if you want a thinner slab, you just take it off, screw it in a little bit so that it brings your bar closer in, and then you have a thinner slab. Or if you want it wider, you do the opposite. You unscrew it and it moves your bar further away. So it's pretty versatile, and for only $40, I mean, this is a really cheap chainsaw, and I haven't been doing a whole lot of cutting with it, but you saw at the beginning of the video all those slabs. They've all been done with this, just cheap chainsaw, nothing expensive. So you should give it a shot if you've been interested in milling up your own slabs. It's very doable and not super expensive. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and share it with a friend if you think they might be interested. So thanks for watching.